So, hey guys, thanks for clicking and welcome to YCB. And today's topic is data types. So, we are going to discuss about data types. What are the different data types in Python? So, there are many data types, but we are first going to focus on the fundamental data types that are necessary to start the programming. And then the next topic that we are going to cover in the next topic next video, that will be operators, and it's pretty much important. And after that, like, we are going to jump into the coding and we'll start doing something. Before that, like, if you notice, like, I'm just telling you on the whiteboard, like, okay, these are the things, because so far we learned just few things. Like, hey, yesterday we discussed, if you haven't watched, you can watch it if you like to watch, and if you are already aware, you can skip it. So yesterday only we discussed about the identifiers and the variables, and we found like identifier have some set of rules. I just want to wind up so that you can get more if you haven't watched. So identifiers are basically the labels that you are giving to someone, and the rules that are being used to define a label. So that are basically identifier. And if you wanted to know more specifically, it's basically these are nothing but to identify an entity, so we call them identifier. And variables are basically a kind of identifier that is you can say that is being used in the programming, because there are, or you can think of like these are entity, spatial entity to hold the data. And today we are going to talk about the data. Okay, so next topic, or maybe today's topic, is data types. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay, so yeah, let me start recording here in my toolbox, or what we say, gadget, and we are going to start it. So I think you can see it, right? So it's data types. So now you know the word data. That means we are going to give something input, and what are the different types of input that you are going to provide. So always think like from real life, how the computer programs are being built. So they are being built to solve the real life problems, right? How they with, for example, if you want to calculate something, you are giving some input, right? That input, maybe let's say 2 plus 3. So 2 and 3 are the data that you are giving. So let's take example of 2 and 3. So these 2 and 3 are basically data. And what are the different types of data that you are providing, that are called as data types? Okay, so we can't say like, okay, book is a data type and all other type, and definitely they are types, but right now we are talking about the fundamental data types. So normally think of it, how you are working. Like, for example, you want to multiply something, you are doing some calculation, or maybe you are writing someone's name. Okay, let's take a few examples. It will be clear to you. Let's talk about some real life examples. Okay, let's forget about it, and let's imagine a scenario. I think I forgot that picture. If you notice, like, for example, in your kitchen, it's a kitchen cabinet, or what we say, I forgot the name of kitchen, like how to say it. Kitchen cabinet, let's say. Okay, so you have kitchen cabinet, and if you look around, or maybe you can say like where you are cooking the foods, and you will see there will be some drawers and all, drawers and or maybe cabinets, and you will see there are some labels you have added to the different things. Let's say this is a bottle that you kept, this is a bottle that you kept, and this is also one bottle that you kept, and you are keeping some products there. Let's say, so the label that you are giving, let's say it's a what are the ingredients? Turmeric. So this turmeric is the variable name, you can say, or label that you are giving, and the content that is inside it, that is the data. You can think of like that. Okay, and definitely when you are assigning a variable, this is variable and this is a data. So if we are going to relate with the programming, so this is turmeric, and similarly asafoetida, I don't know, asafoetida, or maybe let's take uh, coriander. And I'm not good at spelling. So coriander. And let's take another example, maybe you have sugar. So these are the different data that you are holding inside it. Okay, and if you think about it, the different types of data, for example, maybe you have two things, right? Two boxes, box 1 and box 2, and both have sugar. So if you notice, both have the same type of info, same type of content. So these, the type is same. Okay, but the both have different identifier. So name are different. I mean the you can see variables we have assigned to them, so that we can okay, suppose someone wants like this is the older and it has expiry date going to come soon, and it is like a it has longer expiry date. So that's why box 2 has longer expiry date. So whenever you will, like your mother called you and saying like, okay, can you give me box 1, then you will say, okay, why are you not asking box 2? Box 2 also has the same, because we can utilize it for longer duration and it has longer expiry date. So let's finish the box 1. Both have the same type of data. So you can say box 1 equals to, let's take example of sugar, right? I'm just giving you, forget about equals to, so I'm just trying to represent it. Forget about what exactly we said. If you talk about math, then you will call it like box 1 has sugar, box 2 has sugar, uh, both have sugar, right? And this, the value that we are providing, that is called the data type. Okay, so I hope it is clear now. Now let's jump into another thing, like what are the different data types provided by programming. So just think about it, like what are the things that you can give input. Maybe you will say, okay, I can give tomato and pickle. You will think like this, right? Because if you are completely beginner, you will think, okay, what are the different, and maybe let's say a is 20, and maybe let's say your salary, x, no, not let's say 100, and let's say our daily wage, maybe let's take, and maybe you have something else, your percentage 78.5% or whatever you say. I'm just, and all other things. And maybe let's take few more examples. Let me think of few more things. Maybe your number, bike number 78, UP 7835, I don't know what is. And let's take few, you can think of more examples, and let's tell like what exactly they are. If we'll think, let's separate them into different categories. Don't you think this is a kind of data type, that is tomato, pickle, you are giving similar type of values, and this is another kind of data similar to this one. And here if you see, this is another kind of data, and this is mixture of both. So you can say it's kind of how you are going to hold it, it's kind of same type of data. So here if you see, in real world, we are just, I'm trying to do, these are let's say type 1, okay, and this is kind of thing, just think about it, type 2 there is, and this is type 3. Okay, there are 3 types of data, right? If you'll think about it, you will be able to fit every kind of data into 3 categories. Okay, and after that, like, yeah, we are going to, for example, there is more information than simple information, then we can create custom data types. But if we are talking about simpler data types, then you will see, okay, these are the fine fundamental data types, and we call them, okay. So type 1, if you see, like you have to hold it somehow, and you will see, okay, these are the things like we call them string. So here you will see in Python we call them string, and you will see the name that is being used, str. Okay, is for string type of data, string or text type kind of data, where you are keeping, for example, this UP7835. If you know this not identifier, this value, it contains mix of both, so we can consider it as a kind of data type that is similar to the this one, tomato and pickle string. And there is another kind of data where we don't have any fractional value, this kind of numbers, and in mathematics we call them integer. So here we have data type integer, and I mean it will be something like this in Python, int. And if you know, like some values with precision, numbers with precision 4.453 or something, then we call them float. Okay, and if you'll say another type, like if you talk about then it will be something like either true or false. Let's take few scenarios. For example, someone asked you, are you older than 18? You will say true or false, or yes or no. Let's take yes. Maybe you can say, do you wanna come with me in the market, or do you wanna go with me? Do you wanna go market? You will say yes or no. So let's say I don't want to go. I'm busy. And maybe your parents called you, and do you have a girlfriend? I don't know. So let's say yes. So now if you see, you are giving the input in the form of yes and no. So this is another kind of data type that we call, you can think of like true. Either you will say true, yes, or false. And this is one type of data type 4. I forgot it, like I'm not referring any documents that, so that's why. So we call it bool. Okay, so a full name will be like boolean, and it is called as bool. Okay, so these are the different data types that we these are the fundamental data types that we use. So you can think of it, and you will be able to fit most of the things into this kind of data type. And then we have some complex data type, and I do not want to overwhelm you with flooding the unnecessary information. So for the time being, we are going to stick with them, and we are going to perform most of the operations around them. And once we will be comfortable, then we'll jump and we'll see like what are the challenges that we can't fit everything into these data types. So for the time being, we have four kinds of data types that are fundamental data types. It's a you If you wanted to represent something into form of numbers, then you have two data types. One is with precision, without precision, then you can say integer, int, that we call. Okay, you can see here. So if you want to store something text in text form, then you can say what we can say like, okay, this is a string. And if something numbers without precision, then you can say integer. If you have something that is with precision, then float. So in Python it's very simple. If you compare, if you have watched another programming, like you are aware of little, or maybe little aware of other programming language, then you will notice in other programming languages there are so many technical challenges and you will face. Okay, for example, for like if we talk about C and C++, there are in a string there are so many types of data, character and string and other types of data. Okay, but in the Python, simply they are calling all the textual data as a string, and all the numerical data, either if it contains precision, then float, otherwise it's an integer. If anything is just a true or false, there are two values specifically, then we call them true and false. The values, possible values are, and it's boolean, bool, they call. So that's why it's very simple. Like if you compare with the other programming language, if you are coming from another programming language background, then you will feel okay, it is very simple. And let's talk about the other things. Like in simple terms, you can write it. In other programming language, you have to write functions and all things, but here you will see it's very pretty easy. You can start with just writing print hello world, and it will print, and your program will execute without writing any function or something. So it's pretty simple. You can start within one day, and that's not a difficult programming language. It's very easy and pretty versatile language that is being used in a lot of domains nowadays. If we talk about AI, most of the things are still developed in the Python, and you can leverage it. So it's a pretty versatile language. So yeah, it's very useful, and you should, if you are planning or you are learning, then learn it by heart, and you will gonna benefit from this language. So these are the different things that we can cover. Okay, and if you have any doubts, you can let me know, and I'll try to fix you. I mean, I'll try to clarify. And if you don't like, then you can just dislike the button. And I think I do not want to stress the video, that's why maybe I'll give more information. Or okay, let's talk about something else. I mean, yeah, what happens, let's talk about memory. So in the memory, what's going to happen, if you remember, like few days, I think I already covered, but let me cover it again. Maybe you will feel okay, I'm not telling much about information. So this is your memory in the computer. Now when you assign something like, okay, so okay, one more thing I forgot to tell you. Like when we are representing anything in the form of a string, then there are two ways to represent it. First thing is like you can represent it like, okay, suppose you want to write like Ramesh. So if how Python will understand like whether it's a string or number or what. So you will say like you will start with double single quotes, or maybe you can say like this, Ramesh. Okay. And I will tell you the reason why. Suppose you are writing 23. Now computer, how will it interpret whether you are keeping, because 23 you can keep like a string, or maybe you wanted to do like number, right? You can keep the things into a text form also. So that's why like if you wanted to represent something as a string data type, you have to keep in the quotes single or double quotes. And if you wanted to keep otherwise, if it is without any quotes, then it will be considered based on the data type or based on the value. So for example, if you are providing input like this is and 23 without any quotes and 48.5. So think like you are a you are an interpreter and you are going to translate. So you will start scanning from top to bottom, and you will say okay, I need to assign data types, right? So you will say okay, this is seems like a string, so I'll say okay, string. You will think about it, remes with double quotes also it will be string. So you have to think like from interpreter perspective how things are going. So now you will say okay, 23 it is in quotes, otherwise I have thought about number. So it will, you will say string 23 without any quotes, so you will say number, I mean int. You will say okay, this one it contains precision point decimal value, so you will say okay, it will be float. Let's say another value, true, false. You will say okay, this value is true, it seems like bull. This value, let me add it into quote. Remember, true and false are always T will be capital, false F will be capital. So just keep that in mind. It won't be true, small. Otherwise, it will be like giving error. Like if you are not considering it in quotes, or other than that, like it will say okay, it's not number. Then you are assigning to an unrecognized value to a variable. So here, if you say false, it is capital still, but it still it won't be able to, it will say okay, it's a string. So that's why. So it's very important, just keep that in mind. And now we think about it, how it's going to work. If you will say okay, 23 is going to be stored in memory code like this. I mean, it's not, I'm just trying to tell you in abstract form. There will be everything like in my memory will be stored in 0 and 1. So don't assume like, okay, he's telling. So, okay, I'm telling you like how you can think of it in abstract form, because we are not going to tackle in binary. Otherwise, what's the benefit of learning a high level language? High level language, I already told you, high level languages and low level languages. So that's what the benefit of it. Like when we are talking about it, high level languages, I mean, yeah, that means it abstract most of the things from us, and we just have to think in terms of programming language or syntax that we are going to use in the programming. So imagine 23 and here 23. Now you assigned a variable so that you can access it from memory, because memory address will be something 0x523 0y23 something like this, abc, some numbers that you won't be easy, it won't be easy for you to operate with them. So that's why you are calling like x, you are calling y, you are calling z. These variable names are very ugly, but I still use them. So okay, so these are nothing but you are giving label to particular data. For example, you have like in the kitchen, or maybe like let's take example of kitchen. You have kitchen and you kept so many materials in the boxes, and the box is called as the memory box, and there you provided a label. So label, and the value that is content that is inside it, it is nothing but, suppose you have black boxes where that are like, let's take example, this is your kitchen and these are the cabinet, or you can say boxes, and you have something. Oh man, I don't know how to draw box. This is a bottle, and it's completely uh, opaque. Okay, you can't see what is inside. And then think of it, how you are gonna say what is inside it. You will say okay, so this is content inside it. It could be something, and Python I have to tell. So what it will do, it will check what is the content inside it, and you give a label. Then you will be easy. It will be easy for you to understand. Like okay, I want this content. Maybe it's turmeric. it's cumin seeds, right? Cumin seeds and asafoetida and other things, hing, I mean, yeah, and other things. So that will be inside this. And I made them well. That's box, man. Okay, so that's what. So that's why these labels helps us to basically interact with data, and data types is what specifies it. And in Python, we don't need to specify explicitly data type. I mean, it will automatically interpret. I told you here, like for example, it's going to just think of it like it's going to scan from each data type, and based on the value that you assign, the data that you assign, that is, it will interpret whether it's float, it's number, it's a string. So that's process. So I think that's pretty much about this video. And if you have any doubts, tomorrow onwards, like we will cover operators, and tomorrow is weekend, so definitely I'm gonna provide a big lecture, maybe more than 1 hour, and where we'll cover operators and we are going to perform hands-on. So stay tuned. Yeah, and if you like the video, you can like it. Otherwise, if you don't like it, just give a unlike thumbs down, and I'll say, okay, video people are not liking the video. I mean, I need to change habit, and I need to come up with better things. I mean, yeah, better articulation and all. But your feedback will help me, like still I feel like, okay, I need some sort of motivation and all. Motivation, I'm talking something bullshit. So sorry. And for the time being, that's all about this video. And if you like the video, just like it, man. Thank you so much. Bye bye.